All right, so we had already found the center radius form, and it turned out to be x plus 7/2 squared plus y minus 3 squared equals 97/4. And so we can identify that the center is whatever's being subtracted from the x, which in this case is negative 7/2. It's always the opposite sign of what you have here. So you have negative 7/2 and 3. And then this is your r squared. So if r squared is 97/4, that's why you get r is the square root of, 97/4. That's why r turns out to be the square root of 97/4, or the square root of 97/2. So you were okay with all of that, right? And then now, what I always like to do in general when graphing a circle is to plot the center of the circle and then go up a certain, however many units the radius is, down to the left and to the right. So I call it north, south, east, and west points. So in this case, if the center is in fractions, that's probably harder to think about. So let's think of it as a decimal. So 7 divided by 2 is 3.5. I wouldn't label that on my graph. I would, I know this is a blended class, so you don't really have to draw it on paper. But in general, when you label your graph, you should use exact values, like the fractions, rather than decimals. But it really helps when you have to think about it. So we're going to plot the point negative 3.5. So here's negative 3. It's going to be just past that, and then up to 3. So I'm going to make a little X here. I usually make an X instead of a dot at the center of the circle, just to remind myself that's not actually a point that satisfies the equation. It's just a reference point. So that's my center. And then I'm going to figure out a decimal approximation for r as well. So let's see. We have square root of 97, and we're dividing that by 2. So that's about 4.9. All right, so this is approximately 4.9. All right, so we want to go 4.9 in every direction. So to go up from the point negative 3.5 comma 3, you're increasing the y coordinate, right? So you're going to go to about 3 plus 4.9, or negative 3.5 comma 7.9. Now, as we're doing this, it's occurring to me, are you asking how to do it on paper, or is it giving you more trouble doing it on MyMathLab? That's the issue. In other words, go ahead.
Well, on both.
Both. Okay, so let's start with paper. So negative 3.5, 7.9 is going to be almost to 8. So 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. We're almost to 8, so it's about here, right? So negative 3.5 comma 8, 7.9. But normally, again, the way we label the coordinate of that point is not as 3 plus 4.9. We label it as 3 plus square root of 97/2. So I'm going to write the exact value, square root of 97/2 plus 3 here, even though I know that's really about 4.9. And then I also want to go down square root of 97/2 from the center. So if my center is negative 3.5 comma 3, I want to subtract that 4.9, or subtract square root of 97/2. So from the y coordinate, because we're going down. So we're going to have 3 minus square root of 97/2. But we have to think of it in terms of decimal to see approximately where that is. What is 3 minus 4.9? Well, that's negative 1.9. So we have, negative 3.5 comma negative 1.9. So coming up to our graph here, negative 1.9 is almost to negative 2. Let me erase this here. It's in the way. So negative 2 is about here. So that's the point, negative 3.5 comma negative 3 minus square root of 97 over 2. And again, I'm labeling it with the exact value even though I'm thinking of it as a decimal. And then to go to the right from the center point, we have to add to the x coordinate. So we're looking at negative 3.5 plus square root of 97 over 2 comma 3, right? This is the center, negative 3.53. It's the x coordinate that's affected by going to the right. So, but we have to think of it as negative 3.5 plus 4.9. So let's see, that would be what? 1.4? 1.4 comma 3. So we're going to go to the x coordinate 1.4. So it's about halfway between 1 and 2. And we're going to go up to 3. So this is going to be the pair of coordinates. It's about 1.43, but again, we have to write the exact value, which is negative 3.5 plus, actually even better than that, sorry, is the fraction notation. So remember, negative 3.5 was negative 7 halves, right? So negative 7 halves plus square root of 97 over 2. Comma 3, or you could even write that as, I don't know how they do it in MyMathLab. They might have written it as one big fraction, negative 7 plus square root of 97 over 2 comma 3. So labeling it can be intimidating because we have all these radicals and everything. But when we're plotting the point, we want to think in terms of decimals. And then how would we find the point to the left of center? Negative 3.5 minus, and then it's the radius each time. So we're going to think of it as negative 3.5 minus 4.9 comma 3. Or in other words, let's see, what would that be? Negative 8.4 comma 3. So if we go out to, let's see, that's negative 6, negative 7, negative 8, negative 9. It's about halfway between negative 8 and negative 9. So I'm going to go up here to 3, plot the point. And the way that I would label that is, again, this is negative 7 halves minus square root of 97 over 2. Or if you write it as one fraction, negative 7 minus square root of 97 over 2 is the x value. And 3. And then you just draw in your circle. Okay, so there's our circle. So let me go ahead and open the MyMathLab link here and see how, because I don't get to see it the way you do a lot of times. Let me see. Where'd you go, MyMathLab? Had you open a minute ago. There we go. Oh, okay. So they just had you select from the circles. Okay.
Yeah.
So that one's not too bad.
No, it's not too bad. I just selected because I just plugged the, like in the middle, the center, and then I figured it out the way. But
Yeah, when you have multiple choice, it makes it easier to select the right one. Yeah. Are there any in the homework where the system has you graph it using the graphing tools?